This is the Wrestling Old Head. You have entered the portal of pro wrestling.
What the world is watching.
So this is part 2 of my WrestleMania predictions. This is going to be for night 2. Now, there's only 6 matches on this card, and as opposed to the 7 that's going to be on night 1. I have a feeling that we're going to see a match announced on Friday's SmackDown involving Randy Orton. Now, I don't know that to be a fact, and as of this recording, I have no indication of who it's going to be that's actually in that match with Randy Orton. It can be Solo Sikoa. My fantasy cooking brain is thinking up all kinds of things like maybe Jeff Cobb or, Aleister Black or Rusev. However, I don't know if a debut or return that leads to a loss to Randy Orton, because they will lose. I don't know if that's a good way of returning them. I think it'll get a good initial pop, but as far as like momentum building and character building and all these video packages that we're seeing and all that, I don't know if you would waste all of that on just a throwaway match with Randy Orton on WrestleMania. I think it's far more likely we'll get something like Tama Tonga or Solo Sikoa than for a debut or a return. I mean, hell, we might even get Hikuleo coming out for all we know to try to upstage Jacob Fatu. I mean, hey, stranger things have happened, but I don't know. All I know, and Chelsea Green is nowhere to be found. So, I mean, she might have some sort of an involvement in WrestleMania Night 2 as well. But all I know is for now, we've got these 6 matches, so I'm about to break them down like a shotgun. For the women's tag team championships, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez defend against Bayley and Lyra Valkyria. Now, I believe that Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez are going to win this one. I had initially thought that there would be some kind of a heel turn between Bayley and Lyra. And if I had to choose between the two, I'm more leaning towards something like a Lyra Valkyria. Like, I'm far more interested in her going like a Black Swan, like a darker route, like the black teardrops, the black wings, and like a darker entrance for her, maybe even darker music, like a remix to her theme, but like on a darker level. Like, I think I'm more interested in that, because outside of like the fans' involvement in her theme music, there's not a whole lot of interest in Lyra Valkyria, and I mean that with respect, because she's a hell of a talent. I really like her. I really like her abilities, and I think that they need to do something to get more interest in her character and where she's going. And I think a heel turn could do just that. It might be the thing that does that. I'm far more interested in Lyra turning heel than I am for Bayley turning heel, because she just came off of a heel turn, got back to being in the good graces of the fans. And I mean, is it me, or is Bayley actually in the position that we all thought Becky Lynch was going to be in, right? I thought that Becky Lynch would return after losing in the cage to Liv Morgan and be some sort of a mentor to Lyra Valkyria. It seems that Becky Lynch is in no hurry to come back and may not come back anytime soon, so it seems like they gave that to Bayley. And so if they can continue doing this teacher-student, mentor-mentee type of a feud or storyline, I'd be okay with that. I mean, it's been a while since we've had a feud that ended in a handshake and mutual respect and all of that. So, I mean, we could definitely see that. It seems like we're building to some sort of a program that leads to the Intercontinental title being at stake here. But yeah, if we're going with a heel turn situation, I would be much more interested in Lyra turning as opposed to Bayley turning. So at the end of the day, it's Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez that win. They're basically keeping the women's division in the tag title division alive at this point. Got to keep the momentum and got to keep the titles on them. So I'm going with them. In a grudge match, AJ Styles battles Logan Paul. No surprises here. This is probably going to be the workhorse match of both nights. I think Logan Paul, he's been getting in his bag lately. I mean, he's doing the Pulverizer, which is some kind of an homage to, I think Teddy Hart used a move very similar to that. I've been reading somewhere on the internet, whether it was X or whatever, that they were saying that it was a Japanese wrestler that also used it. I'm not familiar with that, but I could see that as well. Logan Paul's he studies. He does his homework. I think he's in there with somebody like AJ Styles who's going to get a good match out of him. I'm really hoping that Karrion Kross is involved at some point in this. I don't want to talk too much about that because I go into an 8-minute rant about how fucking pissed I am that Karrion Kross is not involved in a match at WrestleMania, and he really should be. I mean, they cut his fucking entrance on Raw, and it really pissed me off. So I don't know for the life of me why they're leaving all that money on the table for Karrion Kross to be involved in some sort of a storyline or have some sort of an impact on Raw. I don't get it for the life of me. I know that Paul Levesque is a big fan of his, so I don't understand why they're leaving him like kind of in the background, literally, and he's knocking it out of the park on social media. He's gaining fans at a rapid rate, and he's doing all this press, and they just seem to just leave him on the sidelines, and I don't understand it. But anyways, this is going to turn to an 8-minute rant about Karrion fucking Kross. I get it. But I think that, he would probably be involved at some point in this match. I think it would be great for him, considering this is from the area that he's built from. He cut his teeth in that area, training in Vegas and whatnot. He just got out of a benefit show for Chris Bay with the same company that he grew in, and came to prominence in and whatnot. So it would be nice to have him involved in this match. Is he going to be involved? I have no idea. I looking at the math on this, it looks like, AJ Styles can't afford to lose here, but I don't think he's going to lose. In fact, I think because even though AJ Styles won the match with Karrion Kross, he did get pulverized at the end there, and that left him laying. So I think because of that, AJ Styles wins. AJ Styles doesn't need to win. I mean, they could go against the grain and give it to Logan Paul with interference from Karrion Kross, or Karrion Kross can interfere and maybe help bring a darker side in AJ Styles, and they can continue that feud, which is what I would like to see, because they look like they had great chemistry on their match on Raw, and I would like to see more of those two in the ring together. Regardless of that, I'm going to go with AJ Styles to get the win here. I don't know on the other side of that what you're going to do. I don't know if I Show Speed's going to show up. I don't know if we get Kai Cenat making an appearance. I do think there's going to be some sort of a celebrity involvement in this one as well. Very similar to night one with Tony Hinchcliffe and the New Day. I'm predicting some sort of a celebrity involved and Karrion Kross, but I'm going to go with AJ Styles to get the win here in a fatal 4-way match for the WWE Intercontinental Championship. And what I'm being told is the first ever fatal 4-way for an Intercontinental title at WrestleMania. So that's pretty huge. Braun Breaker defends against Penta, Finn Balor, and Dominic Mysterio. Now, when I originally started to think about who was going to win this, I put my money on Dominic Mysterio. And then as the build started to progress in the last couple of weeks, I'm starting to think that maybe that's not the route that they go. And then I thought, well, maybe they give it to Finn Balor and have him boast, and it pisses Dominic Mysterio off. I think eventually we're going to get the culmination of this tension between the Judgment Day. They're going to split. I think we are going to see the return of the Demon Finn Balor. I think eventually we get there, and I don't know how. But I think with Penta, I think he's going to show out in this match. But I don't think he's ready to win yet. I think Finn Balor and Dominic are going to cross themselves out. And so I think you get a scenario where Braun Breaker wins. Braun Breaker retains and gets a big win at WrestleMania. He gets like a WrestleMania moment. And, and eventually, Julius Creed, I want to mention Julius Creed in the same conversation as Braun Breaker, because Julius was really impressive with his match against Rey Mysterio. And I think Julius and his brother Brutai, I think eventually they're going to meet Braun Breaker and another Steiner, whether it be Brock or, any of the other Steiner brothers that are out there that are training. One's basketball and I think one's wrestling or football or something like that. I think you're going to see the new Steiners against the Creeds, and it's going to blow the fucking roof off the place at some PLE in the not too distant future. And then even so, Braun Breaker as the Intercontinental Champion, I think he needs to defend against a Julius Creed. And I think given the right buildup, that match can steal the show at any PLE in the next year. Mark my words, I think those two would tear the roof off the place when they get in the ring, and I am looking forward to that. I anticipate that very much because they're freak talents, and I think they'll tear the house down. Braun Breaker wins the Fatal 4-Way. In a Sin City Street Fight, Damian Priest battles Drew McIntyre. Not a whole lot to talk about with this build-up. I think they've done a fine job in drawing interest for this match. Not a whole lot of excitement, but they're doing their best that they can. As far as the build-up goes, Drew McIntyre winning makes a whole lot of sense to me because, hey, Drew, Damian Priest getting his comeuppance for costing Drew the championship last year at WrestleMania makes a whole lot of sense. However, Damian Priest did put Drew McIntyre through a car and bust glass all over his face, and then ended up getting laid out on this Friday's SmackDown. So as far as the math goes, I mean, Damian Priest winning is kind of the thing here. However, I think what we get is Drew winning and then maybe forcing a darker side from Damian Priest, because they have been giving Damian Priest a ton of momentum. With him losing, this can put him in a situation where it becomes meaner and more aggressive, which is exactly what he would need. I don't think a win would do really much for Damian Priest. I think a loss could do a lot more than that. And I think that a win can do more than a loss for Drew, because then Drew can take that and start going into his overconfident side again. So I'm going to give Drew the win. Hopefully on the other side of that, Drew moves up the card a little bit and Damian Priest can maybe start working with Karrion Kross. I know Karrion Kross is on Raw. I think Karrion Kross moving to SmackDown would do him good. And working with Damian Priest, I would like to see that. I think those two can do great stuff together. So that's my prediction and a little fantasy cooking on top for that. In a triple threat match for the Women's World Championship, Io Sky defends against Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley. This could be a main event for sure. I know that Io Sky is going in as an underdog, and people are expecting Rhea Ripley or Bianca to win here. I'm actually going to go with Io Sky. I think what's going to happen is Bianca is going to deal with maybe some distraction from Jade Cargill. And I think Rhea is going to be in her head as well. And I think Io Sky wins it. I think she needs to win it. I don't think Bianca with the championship suits her right now. I don't think it's time. And I think Rhea without the championship is far more effective than when she has the championship. And I think this is time to give Io Sky her flowers. She has been doing amazing. And it has been a while since we've seen Asuka. So my prediction is, if not on night 2 of WrestleMania, after on Raw, I think Asuka returns and attacks Io Sky. That is my big prediction. So I'm going to go with Io Sky. Yeah, stay tuned for that. I don't think anybody's ever talked about that either, by the way. So if it happens, all 47 of you watching this video, give me my fucking flowers, man. Because that's a way out there prediction. But everybody has seemingly forgot about Asuka. And I think she comes back, and I don't think she's going to be happy. And I think a mean streak Asuka attacking Io Sky, I think there's some money in that. So that's what I'm going for. Now, the match that everybody has been anticipating, Cody Rhodes against John Cena. That's me cracking my knuckles because I'm about to go in. A lot of people have there's been no action for this build-up. There's a reason for that, because they want you to anticipate the showdown. This is one of those builds that doesn't require a whole lot of fighting, because they're going to tell a story, and this is going to be the first time we're actually going to see them trade blows. They've been building to that. John Cena's been, cocking back, looking like he's going to go on the attack, and then he feigns, and then, and we've seen the attack that John Cena initially did, and then we've seen the crossroads. I think we're going to have another promo battle on SmackDown. I anticipate that not being in the ring. I think what we're going to see is John Cena via satellite somewhere, either in the back or somewhere around Vegas. I think this match is going to be overbooked. I think it's going to be a spectacle with a very slow build. I think you're going to see interference. I think that you're going to see the final boss. I am going to go with John Cena to win. I think you get more mileage out of this John Cena heel turn with him winning. And I think Cody Rhodes losing is not going to be without a myriad of different interferences. So I think what you're going to get, this is the way I'm going to tell the story here. The way I see it going is The Rock comes out, the final boss. Glass shatters. Stone Cold comes out. Stone Cold gives the final boss the stunner. The crowd goes ape shit, okay? Very reminiscent of last year. 2 count on Cody Rhodes. I think Cody Rhodes thinks he wins the match. Crossroads to John Cena. 1-2, kick out. I think that is when you see Travis Scott come out, interfere, and John Cena wins. That's how you tie it all in. This is how you tell the story. Because at Elimination Chamber, when Travis Scott and The Rock and John Cena were in the ring, since that moment when those 3 individuals did what they did to Cody, they haven't been talked about and they haven't been seen. So we revisit that in this match with Travis Scott costing Cody Rhodes the match after The Rock tries to do it, but Stone Cold comes out. I think that's how you tell the story. I think that's how you get John Cena the championship. I think the crowd is invested at that point. You've got all these different things tugging at their heartstrings. And John Cena ends WrestleMania 41 in Las Vegas with the Undisputed Championship. I think it'll tell a phenomenal story. I don't know if you get Travis Scott in the ring against Cody Rhodes, but I think you get some sort of a tag match. And what I would like to see is Cody Rhodes and Kai Cenat against Travis Scott and The Rock. And that rhymed for a reason, because the Wrestling Old Head has bars. I be spitting. But I think that is what we get at WrestleMania 41. On paper, Night 2 looks just as good as Night 1. There's a lot of stories, and this isn't the final chapter that they were telling at WrestleMania 40 was. This is going to bridge WrestleMania with the first 2 nights SummerSlam. Gotta remember that. SummerSlam is 2 nights this year. For the first time ever, it is gonna be stacked, you guys. It's gonna be stacked. So they gotta build that in a way to where it feels as momentous as WrestleMania. So keep that in mind when you're doing your predictions. Keep that in mind as you're watching, because you're going to be taken for a ride. This isn't going to be the same type of WrestleMania that you had at WrestleMania 40. And I know if you have your expectations going in that it's going to be that way, you're going to be let down. Go in thinking that this is a different book and a different chapter that leads to more stories. Remember that, guys. And as always, I would love to hear your feedback on not only my predictions, but also on your predictions. Let's compare, let's have fun with it. Be checking for me on the community threads of this channel. I'll be popping into a few different chats on other channels as well. I'm going to be around this WrestleMania weekend. It's an exciting time, and we are gearing up on me having 1 year as a YouTube content creator. It is an amazing achievement to be doing this for 1 year. It flew by like you wouldn't believe, but I could not have done this without you guys. Thank you to all of my day ones. Thank you to everybody that stumbles upon this channel and clicks subscribe. A free button to click, by the way. And I appreciate you all for everything. All of your comments, all of your dislikes, all of your arguments, all of your beefs, all that. I love it. It's what keeps me alive and keeps me feeling young again, you guys. And please, let's not stop that momentum going into year 2 and beyond. Hit that thumbs up, hit the notifications bell, and keep letting me know how you feel. And I'll keep dropping hotness. And that's how we do this. That's how the portal keeps expanding. So this is the Wrestling Old Head. And as always, you guys, stay tuned for more.